So, welcome back to day 15. Recap what we've done here. The first week we've hit the foundation, right? We've hit the questions, we built the base and reality, and finding our reality is like, where are we? Where do we want to go? Where's our goals? What are the obstacles? And we spent a good share of that time getting real with ourselves on where it is we want to go, where we are, the obstacles that we encountered. Last week we went through the code, right? Real, raw, relevant results. Real, raw, relevant results. Remember that, and continue to do that. Real, raw, relevant results. Real, raw, relevant results until that is automated. Today, we're going to hit on the stack. The stack now is a tool that we use to refocus, to retarget, to when we find ourselves in a situation where we don't have a perspective, when we don't have a perspective to actually see what's next, when we don't have a perspective to see a different point of view that will help us come out of a situation. When we call that the dark, right? We're going to be in the dark, and what happens in the dark is we're going around basically with our eyes covered, right? We're going around and we don't have good direction. There's something that's obscuring our view or our perception or our perspective on a situation. Perhaps it's another person's point of view. Perhaps it's something that we just don't understand. So this is a tool that we use to open up our perspective, right? The dark, once again, is this place that we find ourselves in, is in where we go to this tool, which is daily, right? There's something that we don't have perspective on every day when that comes up. The second phase the of the stack is the drift, right? We don't actually maybe understand that we're in the dark until we're drifting. We find ourselves off path with a relationship. We find ourselves off path with a desired result. We find ourselves off path with something in our life, and and a lot of times, at least for me, is I don't notice that I'm in the dark, right? We're just going along. We think we're on the tracks until we drift off the tracks and things start getting rough. And we don't even know why, right? That's where I go. I go to a stack, and I don't really discover that till we get to a drift. And we go through these phases within the stack. Okay, the third element to the stack is a shift, right? Once we go through this process, we're in the dark, and we ultimately come to a place where we need to make the shift from the from being the dark and not having a perspective to the shift where we actually in our place where we actually open up our eyes, right? We have perspective maybe from another point of view. It's kind of like the whole one-dimensional thing, right? It's a three-dimensional object is different than a picture, right? And so what is done is we actually make a shift. We open our eyes and we're able to see the the possibility. The next phase of that is uh, is a lift, right? Once we go through these stages, once again, the dark, the drift, the shift. Eventually, we get to a point where we actually come into this new perspective, right? And once our eyes are open, it does no good to have our eyes open and watch ourselves continue to crash and drift, right? So what we have to do is we have to create, and this is another phase of the the stack is, right. We actually create an environment where we actually get a lift, right? We come out of this drift, we come out of this darkness, we come back with a new vision, and we actually refocus and we get a lift, right? So in the final stage is the light, where we actually often have a dramatic revelation, right? It's not just that we solve the situation that we're in. We come across a light where we kind of don't know how to use a different parable, but we come up a different gopher hole, right? We go through this dark place, and we actually come out of this thing in a different place where we have a whole different view, not just of the subject that we've drifted on or that we've failed on, but it's actually we come up with a result that we can apply this new perspective to all of the portions of our life, our body, being, balance, and business. And that's really the beauty of the whole stack to me, is like we don't actually, not only do we not target just the area that we're drifting in, but we get benefit in all areas of our life from this new perspective. So the assignment, once again, is to teach teach us. If you don't teach it, you don't know it. If you don't know it, you can't live it. So Along with that, teach the other items listed below, and we'll see you again tomorrow.